All right, so today's first question, unlicensed therapy.
Hmm.
Do you think anyone can be happy all the time?
If you're living in a world of delusion, sure. There's some people
Mm,
who have that outlook, like, oh, it doesn't matter. But I don't think so. Like, I feel like at night, when you're on your way to bed, just laying there in your thoughts
hmm
is eating you up. Like, reality is there. But then you wake up and you turn the delusion on, you're like, oh, everything's great. But I mean, there are some people who have figured it out, good routine,
Yeah,
consistent. I mean, if you want to say that's happiness, sure. It depends on what happiness is to you individually, I feel like. You know what
yeah,
I'm saying? If I'm waking up, making a good check, I ate today, I handled what I need to handle, I guess I'm happy. And if that goes on for a period of time, I guess I'm happy. You know what I'm saying? But I don't think happy all the time. Something is gonna mess you up some way. What do
yeah.
you think?
I agree. I don't think anybody can be happy all the time.
Mm,
However, I feel like we think that people who seem happy all the time are bullshitting. I think that some people
mm,
do bullshit, but I also think that it's more about how you deal with when you aren't happy that makes you
mm,
have like a better or seem like one of those people that's happy all the time. Like my mom
mm.
always say, like, I'm not gonna let one bad thing ruin my day. And of course that's like an easy
Yeah.
example, but like I think that what I try and do is I try and do one thing I like every day. Like if I had
Mhm.
a day, if I
Mm.
had a long day, whether it's watching one episode of a TV show I really like or
Yeah.
eating something I really like I'm gonna have one thing that I want to do that's enjoyable about this day before I go to sleep. And I think
Yeah.
that helps, like, make sure you always have something to be
Mm.
positive about. Like,
Yeah. Because also like being content is kind of
yes,
cool. Like I'm happy with that. Being
yes,
okay with everything. I'm
yeah.
not necessarily like eager or excited, but I'm not complaining.
Yeah.
That's cool too. That's
I
cool
no,
too.
100%. I think that and that's something I've been learning so much recently, being
Mm,
content. And I think, and we talked about presence earlier. I think this has a lot to do with being present as well, being
mm,
content. Because I think like when you're content, you have to acknowledge all the good things in your life. And
mm.
that brings you to the present, what's going on right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I think that that's really important. I think that's something we struggle with a lot. And I think
Mhm,
it happens because there's a lot of times there's no validation in the present, right?
mhm.
Like you can you can be caught up in the past because maybe you accomplished something really big, or maybe that was before the
Mhm.
problem started, and you can get really caught up in the future because maybe your problem's over, or maybe you don't
Yep.
know what's going to happen with this issue, right?
Mhm.
But when you're present, that's where the solution is usually.
Yeah.
It always is in the present, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And so it's like, and when you like you just said, when you appreciate things, it forces you to be content. It forces you to be
Mhm.
present. And I think that's how you really get to the bottom of all your problems.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, being present is such a huge thing too, because like on social media or just in a room with other people, you're comparing yourself, you
Yeah.
know, to where they are, where you are, how they look, you know, and none of that matters. If you're okay within yourself, then you're pretty much happy. I feel
Yeah.
like, when you have that confidence, that high self-esteem, your worth, your value, all those things come into play with happiness, I guess. So
Yeah.
it just depends on your journey. I
Definitely.
feel like you have a moment of happiness all the time, like
Yeah.
maybe a month of like you're really on top of your stuff, and then the next month you might get a little lost in the sauce. But I mean, it can happen.
Yeah. And everything things are always gonna change. Like it's never gonna be, you're gonna have good times,
Mhm.
you're gonna have bad times. Yeah.
Everything is
Oh,
temporary.
definitely. Okay. What would you do if money didn't exist?
I wouldn't be in school for one. Joking, 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 I'm joking.
Fair enough.
Um, if money did not exist. Hmm. My privilege is really sinking in right now. Um, if money did not exist, I would be traveling.
Mm,
No limits.
yeah,
All inclusive, you know?
yeah.
And I would probably have a house in every state.
Respect. Okay, let me ask you a question. If money didn't exist, what would be the currency? How would you acquire things? How would transactions happen? What do you think?
I think it would be a lot of like alliances or brotherhoods and pacts, like say for instance, we all grew up together. So it's like if I get you a house, you give me a house. I don't know, it just had to be equal exchange.
Yeah.
An eye for an eye. I
Yeah.
feel like that would be pretty good. Or like if I seen some posts and it was like we should all have gardens and just trade food.
Yeah.
Thing.
Yeah. It'd probably be like a super complicated barter system.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like a farmer's market situation.
Like maybe,
Everybody.
or maybe water. Maybe it's like if you got X amount of water, give me that
Oh
shit.
wow.
Yep.
Yo,
Yo, welcome. Uh, we appreciate you joining us.
thank you for having me.
Indeed. So we were discussing.
Mhm.
Oh shit. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Oh, okay, okay, baby. Okay, the question was, what would you do if money didn't exist?
I play basketball and make music all day.
Hmm.
Mm.
Yeah. Have a dog on the side, maybe start a family eventually. But that'd be it. I'd actually prefer that. I hope one day that happens before Jesus comes back, honestly.
Yeah. Like
That'll
if
never
Jeff
happen.
Bezos or one of those rich guys gave everybody $1 million, they would still be billionaires.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Well,
That
no,
is true.
like no, it's because it's like 7 billion people, and so if you do 1 million times 7 billion, it'd be different.
Mhm.
That's crazy number.
But I do think if like all the rich people on that level got together and just
A hundred
gather their
thousand, 500,000.
Yeah,
stuff where everybody would be satisfied
it would
and be
destabilize the economy. Technically, it wouldn't be a good thing. Technically, because
but everybody in the world has the same amount of money. Like, let's say, like, we did the math and we were able to say, let's get these amount of rich people together, or get the five richest people in the world, and somehow we divvied up where everybody on earth, no matter who you are, is making generally the same amount of money,
right.
and we're just starting from there. That would still be a bad thing.
Well, you got to think of people with so many people who quit their jobs. Like the world would stop moving.
That is respect,
Like if I'm a
and
if
and I
I'm a
think
bus driver and I get
mhm,
$500,000 cash,
yeah.
I'm leaving that job immediately. No more of that.
Now, Derek, here's what I think about that, though, Derek. I think we'd be putting the world in a beautiful, beautiful predicament. And this is why I think that. It would literally get to a point, it would have to get to a point where we would stop all investing, just stop everything, just stop all of that. And everybody just has their money. And everybody's just going to sit there and they're going to think, what do I love to do? That means you're going to have people who love to farm.
Mm.
You know what I mean? You're gonna have people who love to do the basic job, people who love construction, people who love houses, people who love government. You know what I'm saying? People who love politics, and you know what I'm saying. And money is no longer the issue because first of all, everybody has the same amount of money, which is gonna cease all caste systems that are based off of money. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah, I
Rarely,
completely
people would
agree.
eventually go broke, but you're right.
Yeah, but it wouldn't matter because we have all the essentials.
That's true. And it would still be a reset. It would be a natural reset to the original system of having it less and less and less and less and less.
Like you know what? You ever seen the movie like Divergent? Or you remember that book we read in high school, The Giver or
Yes.
The Gift?
The Giver. It's The
And
Giver.
how everybody was given like a task based on their natural,
Yeah.
just
Oh yeah.
they were born like they did a test and this is the likely outcome or whatever. I think stuff like that is very interesting to me. Like that's actually a very interesting idea. Like I think we should consider things like that because
I seen this tweet the other day. It was about Willow Smith. She dropped a reel or a TikTok or something. And somebody quoted him was like, why don't we ever talk about how Willow Smith is a musical prodigy? And then I saw someone else quote it and they're like, she's actually not a musical prodigy. She's rich as fuck and she can do whatever the fuck she wants all day. So she knows how to play the drums, the guitar, the piano. That's because she doesn't have to fucking work. So like if I didn't have to work or be in school, I'm sure I'd be playing 12 instruments by now. I would probably have an album out. You know what I'm saying? We would all be doing things that we want to do. People would be having gardens, but they have to go to their 9 to 5 because they're not rich like Will Smith. So is she a prodigy? I mean, she's talented, sure, but she doesn't have to do anything.
Yeah, that's fair.
The world would be completely different.
I would have a garden.
Yeah.
I ate fresh fruit and vegetables out of the ground last year. Like I was like, this is the best thing to ever happen. I have to have this at some point. Like I had a salad and all I put on there was salt and lemon juice. And it was like, because like the vegetables legitimately had like their own flavor. You know what I'm saying? Wild. And I was like, I've been eating garbage. Like this is amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. But now garden, I want to have like a ranch, horses. You know what I'm saying? A river I can swim in. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe like a mountain range behind the shit. Like that'd be fine.
Bro, having a well.
I do like pottery there. You know what I'm saying?
Having a well?
Yeah, having a well is such a flex. Like your own water.
Yeah. Especially like from a natural source. That's crazy. Like imagine if there was a clean river behind your house or something and you just go to that bitch and get water.
Listen, bro, living in Oregon, being able to wake up in the middle of the night with my cup and going to the bathroom and just getting water out of the faucets.
Oregon has the greatest water of all time. Like the tap water tastes like Fiji or something. It's wild.
And when it was cold, the water was cold. It was beautiful. And then I went back home because, out there, everybody's carrying a water bottle because you can get water from everywhere. Yeah. Then I came back home, buying cases of water, buying water bottle. I'm like, this is disgusting. There's no way.
Yeah. I know some folks in Portland and they get uppity about the recycling and shit. Nigga, what? You don't recycle? I'm like, hell no.
And then when you recycle, you can get money for it. You can get money for
I was not on game. I did not know that.
It's only like $14 at a time, but still.
Yeah, that's so deep, bro.
Beautiful. Like the homeless, they were carrying around like bags of water bottles, turning them in, getting money for it. Get them some food for the day. The Democrats. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Background Noise Podcast. We are here. Hope you guys are doing well. Easter just passed. I hope you guys enjoyed your Easter. Did you guys go to church?
I did.
It's okay if you did.
I did go.
Okay, yeah. So, this week or this episode, we're going to be talking about, is church relevant? And do we have to go to church? And what's the point of denominations? So, guys, do you think that church is a must?
Is a must?
Yeah, like you got to go to church like every week, every weekend.
Not every weekend. But I do think it's a must, though.
Why you say it's a must?
Because, like, I'm starting to realize, like, church is more about community than it is about the worship service. So it's like, I think it's very important to be connected to that community because, like, there's so many reasons why we'll need it when it's done the right way. cause like when we were at Oakwood, I stopped going to church. I did not. I said I'm not doing that. And by the time I got to Andrews, I kind of had, I don't know why, I just started going, but I started to be more part of that community. And it was really nice to have like accountability, like just real conversations, no matter what. And no, like, no, just, and it's very welcoming as well. Like, and that was a different atmosphere, but I'm not saying it's different anywhere else, but like, it was just very welcoming. So I think you find the right community. You don't have to go there every weekend because I also believe in keeping the Sabbath, and sometimes going to church is not that. But like, I think being a part of the community is definitely a must for sure. I don't think it's what saves you.
You said you don't think it's what saves you? It saves you?
I don't think it's what saves you, but I think it's very helpful in your walk with God, though.
Yeah, I know the Bible says, I don't know the exact verse, but it's like, don't forsake the gathering of yourselves. And I feel like people usually take that as church, but I think you just need to be worshiping collectively. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's what's most important. Like, you know, hearing testimony, praising God with people, being on one accord. Like that's really important. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like really, if you think about it, to me, like when you go to like concerts or like shows and stuff like that, I'm not saying it's like going to church, but that's the same kind of environment, it's the same kind of vibe. And you think about how you feel like at a concert or a show where everybody's locked in on something and everybody's like appreciating something at the same time, or like how good that feels and how you feel when you leave the theater or whatever. Like I think that that's something that you could get from church, but it's we've lost sight of that, and also the church has affected that negatively as well. But I think that's like a huge part of your life that God wants you to have. You know what I'm saying? That we don't, you know, access enough, or we're forgetting the importance of it. Yeah.
I definitely do think it sets like Christians apart because you're going throughout the week with regular people.
Yeah.
And so when you take that time out of your day or out of the weekend to go worship with like-minded people, I feel like it kind of keeps you rooted in the whole like spirituality, religion thing. Like we're still here. That sounds kind of culty though, but like, you know, just with like-minded people, people who understand what you're going through. I personally don't want to go every week.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, but I feel like I go when I want to be rooted again, like when I want to go back and like just sitting in the sanctuary is very nice. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't get that feeling from watching it. Like something about the organ. I don't know. I think it's about the fellowship. Of course, the message and, you know, the worshiping, things like that, but the fellowship of other Christians is like very good, in my opinion. I don't think it's a must, but you definitely should go periodically. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm at least trying to go once a month type of thing.
For sure. Yeah, I think, if you think about like um in like the Israelite camp when they were leaving Egypt, like God was like, make me a home. Like, give me a place like in the community amongst you, like where we can all hang out. Like there's nothing wrong with having a place where it's just about God and worshiping God. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying that you don't need it. I'm not, but it is a point. There is a reason that we have like a dedicated building where we go and do these things. That's how God wanted it. You know what I'm saying? I think, like all good things, human beings have perverted it and made it something that isn't as enjoyable and a true experience as it should be when you go.
Yeah, I just don't like I don't understand the down talk on people who don't go. You know what I'm
For
saying?
sure. For sure.
Especially if they're doing what they have to do within their home. But it's like Christians who don't go, they're talked about like, oh, you need to go to church. You gotta go to church. Like, why? Why do I need
People are
to?
talking about Christians like that?
Yeah, I mean, at least the older generation is like, you need to be going to church.
Yeah, you definitely hear it from older people for sure.
That'll, and this sounds very disrespectful. Like, I don't want to come off disrespectful, but like, well, that'll die down. That'll die. I think that'll die down. That won't last forever.
They're saying they're gonna die.
See, and I was really trying to dodge that, Derek. But
That's
I mean, if
okay.
it's
No,
from the
but
older
that's
generation,
okay.
though,
No, that's okay. Things have to die. We're supposed to die. Like
and you know what may end up
times
happening
change.
is our point of view maybe is going to end up being totally different from the point of view of whoever's next, and it may be we need to start going to church more or whatever, and it's gonna eventually everything's gonna die. So it's like the whole point is as long as it's the same principle. Like I remember I was talking to a colleague of mine, and he had to present to I guess his conference. You know how we have conferences. He has to present to his conference the
Right.
value of social media, and that social media is kind of the new community. It's the new gathering place, and how really it would be wise. I'm not saying this is the standard, but it would be wise if you want to connect with people, you want to grow your church, you need to have social media. You need to be active on social media. You need to, because that's where everybody is. That's the new temple. That's the new place where people would stand up on their soapbox and tell. I mean, imagine how many people go live when something happens. You know what I'm saying? How many people make a little quick post about whatever. I just got this job. Hey, like what I'm saying. Anybody will post anything about it. So it's like that's the new wave, and it's like we don't have to plan an event for 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. to gather and open the doors up for the church for there to be a spiritual movement happen, because that could happen on an Instagram live.
So do y'all think that one point in time, like church will just be obsolete? Like nobody's going to the same? No,
I don't think so.
I think it can get to a point where, because, well, I don't know.
I don't know either.
I don't think we'll see it. I don't think we'll see it.
Yeah, definitely don't.
I don't think.
I feel like we might, only because it's not important to us. A lot of my peers, I mean, I have a lot of peers who do go to church and strongly believe that they should be there every Saturday, but I also have a lot who don't go.
Yeah.
Like haven't been there in years, don't even have church clothes, And I think it's getting a little bit lost, like saying we're 30, we're 40. I don't know. I can't speak for myself then, but I don't see myself going consistently.
I think
at that age. Unless I had a child.
Yeah. And I think at the same time, low-key children are what's gonna keep it alive, because a lot of people have that same feel like you just said, like I got a kid, like I want them to be rooted and grounded in something. Because
Yeah.
if you don't go to church, that don't mean they don't be praying. That don't mean they don't call on God when they need help. That don't mean they don't believe in God. So and ultimately that is the point, right? God is the point of everything that we're doing. So I think at the very least, children will keep the church alive, just off the instinct of I need to have my kids in church, or
that is true.
Them to have something that they can work on. Like, yeah.
That being said, do y'all think like that denominations matter? We all believe in Jesus Christ. Besides, like I know what sets the Seventh-day Adventists apart is the second coming of Jesus Christ. Like all the other denominations believe he hasn't came yet. And, they worship on Sunday. We worship on Saturday. Like, does that really matter? You know what I'm saying? Like, we all just believe in Jesus. What's the big deal? I should be able to go to a Sunday church and still have a good time. Vice versa.
Right.
Like, what do you think? Does it matter?
Yeah, I think you can get a word at any time for sure. I think it just depends on how you view the Bible. Personally, the way I interpret it, because it says the 7 days of Sabbath, that's the day I worship on. I'm not going to say that Seventh-day Adventism in itself, as a religion as a whole, is like the only one or it matters more than the others. But in terms of going to church on the Sabbath specifically, that's something that I'm sold on. So that's really important to me. You know what I'm saying? But I think that, well, I definitely believe that there are going to be people that aren't Adventists in heaven. And I think
Exactly.
ultimately God is the judge. And I think he's going to let people that are alive when he comes back go to heaven if they're Adventists. And I think some that aren't Adventists are going to go to heaven.
Mm.
But I just think that it's more about your relationship. You know what I'm saying? That's what's most important. And whatever is the right path, a quality relationship with God will lead you to that. You know what I'm saying? Inevitably.
Hmm.
But yeah, I think, like I said, I'm definitely sold on going to church on Saturday. And I'm at Venice, and I will always be at Venice. But I'm not gonna say that, oh, the other ones are illegitimate or you're totally on the wrong path if you believe in the other.
Hmm.
Mhm.
What do you think, Christian?
Yeah, I agree. I don't really have no more to add to that. I just agree. I see it the same way. I actually sometimes I see we could possibly, as Adventists, kind of learn from other. We're
Definitely.
like I found myself learning from other religions. Like Derek said, like I'm an Adventist, do or die. In fact, I want the three angels tattooed on my delt right here. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
But I low key do want. I think that's a great tattoo idea, but that's just me. Anyways, but nah, I do think we can learn from other denominations though, because I remember Derek had me reading this book called The Four Agreements. That's from the Toptic.
Mhm.
And I don't know if that's a religion, but that's a whole different culture. And there were some things that I disagree with in the book, but that book, low key, gave me a little jetpack to change the direction of my life in a better way. So, it was, I think
Mhm.
denominations don't matter that much.
Yeah, because
And you know what's funny about that? I'm sorry.
go ahead.
But I learned what I learned in class. Solomon and who yeah, mainly Solomon wrote Proverbs that's in the Bible, and he was getting some of the sayings from like Egyptian literature.
Mm.
Like he was literally like we found out that he literally not necessarily copied and pasted, but got inspiration from literature outside of Judaism. You know what I'm saying? So
Hmm.
I think that's like information that's valuable because it's like it's going to show, okay, read the Bible 100%. Like let that be the foundation of your life, obviously. Depending
Hmm.
on who you are, don't be afraid to, learn from different cultures in life.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, bro. Like, I don't know if it's because I have locks, but like, I'm not saying I'm converting to Islam or anything like that. But like,
Mhm.
bro, I really like how. Correct me if I'm wrong, but like, you know how they have Ramadan, or I don't know if that's still going on, but like you eat once in the morning, you fast all day, and then you eat a little snack at night. You're praying
Mhm.
5 times a day. Like I just appreciate how intentional they are. You know what I'm saying? Like we may have that and I don't know about it, but I really like how intentional they are as a community, like that fasting and praying for 30 days every time, like certain time of year, that really hits home. I don't know why. It just makes me want to do that. And I'm not Muslim or anything, but like
Mhm.
that seems really nice. I
Mhm.
don't know. I've been thinking about it.
Hey,
I'm
listen,
not
Are
wearing
you
I'm not wearing
think
no
you part?
hijab or anything.
I don't think that's
Okay.
wild, honestly.
Yeah, we'll see. It's a huge
So to you
commitment,
would
but I
be
think I need that structure.
now I gotta know the rules. Now I want to know the rules just to see what you would be getting yourself into.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I wouldn't completely convert. I mean, do they believe in Jesus? Do we know? Or
I believe he's
Allah?
like a
Is
prophet,
that the
right?
same?
Yeah,
I'm
I
not
don't think
sure.
unless
But they
they
believe in
believe in
Christ, a higher
do they?
power.
See, to
Allah,
me
who's
that's
Allah?
I think well that I don't know. They say Allah means God, but I haven't done enough research to know. But I think it's very important to believe in Jesus himself rather than just a higher power. Like, because to me, I think that's like because it would be different for me saying, "Oh, I believe there's a higher power. I believe the universe is, this, that, and the third." Not knocking nobody who believes that, but there's a difference between that and me saying, "I believe in God. I believe in Jesus as my Lord and Savior." Like that's two different things for me. Now, if Allah is another word for God and they're saying the same thing, I mean, you know what I'm saying? There's nothing wrong with different languages,
I think it
obviously.
is. I don't know. I mean, growing
But
up, I've always had a struggle with um Jesus being an example. Wow, being very transparent right
Mm,
now. Because it's like he came down here and he was divine, but he could also sin. But it's like how can he be an example if he's literally the son of God? So it's like he's in the temple, he's not sinning, he's not having sex and all that stuff. Like he's literally perfect. So how can he be an example? Yes, he was here on earth, but I've always struggled with like that's just not accurate in my
yeah.
opinion. So I wouldn't say I don't believe in Jesus, but like it's just not the same. You can't say live a life like Jesus and he's literally the son of God. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? Does that make sense or no?
It makes sense. Obviously, I disagree, but it makes
yeah,
perfect sense.
yeah, I know what you're saying. I understand totally. What do you think, Christian?
I think that's like a reasonable way to think. I think that's the automatic thought of every human being who's ever heard that. Like, I don't think like just because it's hard for us to see something we've never seen before, because we're still looking at it from the perspective of yes, the Bible says Jesus is human, just like they said, but it also says that Jesus is God. But from what I
Right.
understand, it's like he had to. From what I understand, that even proves more to the point of how self-denying Christ was. Like there are Bible verses that talk about how God is like how Jesus is God, but he never sought that glory, how he never used his own divinity, and at this point I'm quoting Ellen G. White, but who cares? But and how like he never relied on his own divinity, he was always in connection with God's divinity. And so like from the way I understand this, like we are expected to do something similar. I think Christ understands that it's not going to be that easy for us, but I don't even think it was easy for Christ. I just think Christ understands that we're going to fail because he died for that. So I don't think Christ is looking at it from the perspective of be perfect and be sinless. Don't sin the same way I did. But I do think coming from a perspective of the same way I was united to the Holy Spirit and wasn't able to sin. I want you to have that same relationship, that same oneness with God. You see what I'm saying?
Well, you don't think he was drinking wine in the alley with the disciples on a Friday night?
Nah,
You know what I'm saying?
nah.
Like,
Home. And that's hard for me to say. That's hard for me to say just because like I'm looking at it from that perspective as well. I'm like, there's no way Jesus was hanging out with sinners and he wasn't doing sinful things. But that's me looking at it from my perspective because when I hang out with people that are, or I'm a sinner myself and I hang out with people that do sinful things, I'm 9 times out of 10 gonna at the very least laugh at it, if not join. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm gonna treat that situation totally differently. So it's like, I think that's hard for us to say as human beings because we've never experienced that. We
hmm.
never experienced that.
So growing up, like making your own decisions and things like that, how are you like staying true to what you were raised with? You know what I'm saying? Like we were doing the Friday night vespers,
Mm.
Sabbath school, all of those things. Like, what are you doing now as a young adult, making your own choices, like choosing your denomination? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
what is really setting you apart now?
Mm.
I think it's supposed to be the effect you leave on people, in my personal opinion. Like when the Bible talks about being a peculiar person or 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 being like Christ or whatever. I think it's more about like the standard being set and the continuous attempt to meet that standard. Like I don't think we're supposed to have the outlook of I'm supposed to be perfect. I think it's the pursuit of perfection. And as long as God knows you're pursuing the best you can possibly be, that's something he can be okay with, right? Like we're born in sin, shaped in iniquity. We're never going to be perfect. The Bible is very clear about the Bible never says you'll be perfect unless God makes you perfect, right? And so like I think it's the pursuit of perfection and being like God is what sets you apart versus like doing some specific action repeatedly on purpose to be different from everybody else.
Mm.
That's how I see it at least. I think,
Mm.
don't get me wrong, like I do think certain things like having worship every single Friday night is more of a tradition because I used to think if I didn't do it, it was like a sin. Like legitimately, I thought I was
The
doing
sunset to sunset.
right. Like I mean, I believe
Mhm.
in the Sabbath from sunset to sunset, no doubt. But I used to think like certain things, like if I didn't have worship or if I didn't pray in the Sabbath to bring the Sabbath, like I was sinning or something. Like I thought like that was really, really bad. And I'm not saying it's you don't have to form those habits. That's up to you. But I do think some of the things that we feel like we have to do are more rooted in tradition than it is something that God actually
Gotcha.
need to act in this manner. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I
I
say
mean, I
trial and error.
try to go ahead, Christian.
I'm a fault. I was just gonna say trial and error. Like just try out. Like you can still keep your denomination, but if like when I started to go to Andrews, like some of my roommates would watch. Like I had a roommate who would watch cartoons on the Sabbath. He was in the seminary with me, and I was like, this is wild. I came back home, I started watching anime, and I liked it at first, but then I realized I'm not spending the time with God, and I'm making me realize, okay, maybe I don't want to do it. I think it's all about trial and error. Like, not saying that your relationship with God should be based on what you like, but it is a relationship. So I feel like it's gonna work differently from like, you know what I'm saying? My relationship will work differently with God than Derek's will or yours will with God, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You think people know that we're Christian? Like, do you tell people that, or they just pick up on that? Like, do you minister any type of way? Like, personally, when people vent to me, at the end of them venting, I'll be like, you gotta talk to God, or God will see you through. You know what I'm saying? Things like that. Like, normal people don't do that,
Right.
you know?
For me, it didn't come up naturally. Like I don't like I like if it's appropriate at the time or like someone asked, I definitely had no problem telling. But I feel like for me, all the moments where I feel like I've witnessed or I told people what I believe or I told people about God, it came up super naturally. And I just wasn't afraid
Yeah.
to talk about it.
Mm.
I feel like God will give you the opportunity to witness. I think it's more so about like, I feel like I'm not saying you shouldn't seek out witnessing, but I also think like if you're just living your life to the best of your ability, God will bring those people in your path or create those opportunities for you to do that naturally. And you just got to take them.
Mm.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So the only question we haven't answered from the backlog of questions that we got is how to be more emotionally available when dating slash seeing someone.
I'm more
I
than
want to
happy
do
to
that.
run this. I'm cool. I'm listening in on that one. I have nothing to say about that one.
All right, so pop the question, Derek. We'll just try.
I'm lying. I'll definitely have something to say.
What's up, everybody? Well, I don't have to do that. I can just.
Just do it. Just do it just in case. All
All
right.
right. Yo,
Now at the unlicensed therapy.
yeah, for sure. Yo, it's now unlicensed.
We gotta keep that.
Okay. All right, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. All right, everybody, it's unlicensed therapy time. And the question we have for today is how do I become more emotionally available when dating slash seeing someone?
Christian?
Okay. I thought I wasn't going to have anything to say about this, but I was wrong. I'm only saying this from the perspective of a man, assuming that a lady is trying to be emotionally available to a man. I can give you the perspective of how to be emotionally available to a man, but at the same time, I've never really been in an intimate relationship at all with a man. So I don't know. That's completely different from anything. So I can give you advice, but I don't know how sound it would be. But the point is,
So you're saying
I
as
feel
a
like
man, you don't have any insight on how
I
someone.
feel like I feel like I have insight, Derek. But I think I have insight, but I also think that men are very different. Like we're all very different. Like for me, I'm realizing what I know about me. I don't want you to know what's wrong with me. I'll tell you. But you may be different. You may be different. You may be like, ask me. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I can't speak for all men because I'm really starting to realize more and more Instagram, yada yada. Like every dude is really different.
Yeah.
So I can only tell you. Or wait a minute. Sorry, that's actually in reverse. Every woman is different. well, both are the same, but every woman is different. So also every man is different, but every can I start over? Because
Sure.
I got caught up. Let me start over. Okay. What I am saying is this. Every person is different. So I cannot give a specific situation to one thing. And also I don't know how to be emotionally available to a woman because that is something I'm still struggling with doing. Just because I'm trying to work out my own emotions for myself and being more acceptable or accepting of my own emotions. However, what I have learned in growing in myself and getting to know myself and things like that is that I don't want people to bug me about how I'm feeling. I'd rather just tell them straight up if I feel like it. You know what I'm saying? Now I understand that sometimes if I'm feeling a certain way, I'm gonna act a certain way. But for the most part, I like it when I'm just sitting in silence. Like, you ever seen that video of the wife just watching her husband paint outside?
Yeah.
And it's just, and every now and again he'll open up, every now and again he won't. And that was like that's the type of situation I like. Like, we're just sitting quietly, and I'll just, you know. So that's it.
Well, thank you, Christian, for telling us how a woman could be emotionally available to a man. That was good insight.
All right. It seems as if I answered the question, even though I said I couldn't answer the question, even though I did. Hey, let's talk about how much time it took to get to that point.
It's all good though, because that just means that you need a patient woman that's willing to sit and listen to you figure out how to get to the conclusion. That's respect. There ain't no wrong with that.
I low-key want to dive into this.
We can dive into
it. Say Christian's emotional behavior.
I'm ready, nigga. Let's do it.
Well, just the difference between men and women, like,
here we go.
For instance, if you guys piss me off, I'll be like, Derek, I don't like how you said that. That really upset me. Why did you say that? You made me uncomfortable. And we're gonna talk about it. Call me emotional, whatever. But guys, it's like they'll just pocket that. And they'll just sit with it for years.
For me, I'm gonna wait my turn, and then it's gonna be my turn, and there's gonna be a time where I say something you don't like, and it's just gonna be like you're gonna have to deal with it.
Well, why don't you just why don't guys okay, I had a hard day, and then come home to their lady friend or whatever, and they're like, hey, I had a really hard day today. This guy was pissing me off, or blah blah blah. This really irritated me. Why don't men do that?
Oh,
it's really easy.
I'll be like, hey, baby, I ain't gonna lie.
Okay.
Yeah, I do that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's a guy or a girl asking.
I think to Christian's point, some men will tell, like me, and some niggas will. Oh, so I'm sorry. Some niggas like to be asked, like me, or I'll tell. Some niggas only like to tell, and some niggas will only open up if they're asked. I think a lot of men think people don't actually give a fuck about how they feel, and so they're coming. Well, because it's like men are more practical, right? So I will help my homeboy if he needs help, but I'm not gonna be like, bro, do you need help? Men don't want a lot. That's uncomfortable, right? But like, if someone comes to me and is like, I need help, yeah, of course, whatever you need. You know what I'm saying? We're it's just not in our nature to seek out help because we feel like we're supposed to be the help, right? We're supposed to be the person that has it figured out, that knows what to do in every situation. So in order for me to admit that I don't know what I'm supposed to do right now, sometimes it can make me feel like less of a man, right? Because I'm supposed to know. And sometimes maybe a dude has had an experience where a woman has made him feel like less of a man for not knowing what to do. You know what I'm saying? And so all these things play a part, right? And so I think, yeah, that's what I think. That's why men are the way, because it feels like weakness to say I don't know what to do. That's my guess.
That's ridiculous.
Or niggas just don't feel like
why niggas don't tell women why they
But also, what if we just don't what if that's just you see how I gave that, I answered the question and now we're diving in deep about this reason why niggas don't want to and niggas do. Look at what we're doing now. This is exactly what I'm talking about. I don't feel like I would sometimes I'm gonna feel like doing it. But other times I'm just like, man, I'm just trying to get on the game and laugh it out. That is sometimes that or what I'm also learning is that I am a retrospective person. Like
Mm.
I'm gonna go on a walk. I'm gonna think about that. I'm gonna literally talk to myself about that. Talk to God
Yeah,
about that. I'm gonna
gotta talk to
like
yourself.
that's literally how I've been handling things. I'll go out. I'll put the headphones in so it seems like I'm on the phone when I'm not. I'm outside and I'm saying I don't like how she did that. I don't like how I said that. I don't. And then I'm just asking myself, well, why? And then after that walk, I realize exactly how I feel.
Yeah. And
I'm
I think
just slow.
women need to realize men don't have to talk things out to solve them. Like Christian said, sometimes I can get on the game and the bad things that happen, I'm with the homies, we cracking jokes. I feel better now.
What?
It's okay. Like
Or,
that
or
is
go to a hoop session.
right. I can physical exertion helps a lot. Oh my goodness. If you pissed off, go to the motherfucking gym, bro. I promise you'll feel better. I promise. I'm
Mhm.
not saying that's gonna solve how you feel about your mom's
That's
death.
what I'm
But like,
saying. Does that solve the problem?
right, but everything is not a huge problem. Sometimes I'm just pissed because something happened at work
Yep.
and I need to relieve that angry energy. So I'm gonna work out. I'm gonna
Just
hoop.
compartmentalize,
Just because I'm angry
organize.
today doesn't mean it's some deeper. Hey, baby, it's an apple, not an onion. Okay, it is not layers.
Level one issue. Level one issue.
Level
Below
one,
your pay grade. Below your pay
don't
grade.
even worry about it. Like everything's not this deep,
Yeah.
layered labyrinth of feeling and emotion and deeper meaning. Sometimes I'll just
It
piss
just is
and I
what
need
it
to do something to blow
is.
that shit off, man. That's it. Don't have
I
to
think
be.
that's because guys are just more physical. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Hey,
I mean, yeah,
no, that
that
is
could
not
be.
what it is.
Well, why are
You
you
said
trying to
what?
discredit it and make it seem like no? We
I'm
just developed
saying.
a way
No,
to
I definitely think it's more
resolve our
physical,
anger
bro.
differently, and it works for us.
Why
That's
does it have to be more physical?
yeah.
Because if that was the case, well, that's a different thing. So never mind. That's a different thing.
I think it's more physical because it's like, okay, you go play ball and now you're happier now.
I don't.
You
And
know?
I had you missed the part where I said I can get on the game and I can laugh.
You know what I'm saying?
It
Some
can.
niggas paint, some niggas draw, some niggas make music.
I understand that. So, say for instance, you get on the game or do whatever, and we still haven't addressed what's going on in our relationship or in our friendship, and you get off the game, and this happens all the time with you guys, like our friendship. So I'm like, Christian, I noticed that you didn't like the way someone said something to you earlier. And you're like, you know what, Tay, I'm so glad you brought that up because that really bothered me.
Mm.
Even though you played the game, you ran around, blah, 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 you still never verbalized the problem and the issue and just got that off your
Right.
chest. And
Right.
that's why niggas go and kill people.
Okay. Well, that's really the extra
Not
mile
kill
for
people,
sure.
but like, niggas be upset because they don't hear themselves saying what has frustrated them. I feel
Mm.
like y'all don't verbalize what is actually like on your mind. You rather shoot some hoops and be like, oh, it's whatever. Don't worry about it, bro. But you're on that drive home and you're like, I really did not like that.
And sometimes I'm not gonna say that you're totally wrong. I think you're making a point. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes on the ride home, I can think about it, I can hash it out, I can make sense of it, and then that's it.
Mm-hmm.
If I
Fair
can,
enough.
yeah,
Fair
yeah.
enough. I
You know,
appreciate you guys' friendships too. Because when I'm emotional about something, I come to y'all. You're like, you know what, Tay? It is what it is. And I'm like, you know what? Hey,
but
yeah.
also it's like bowel movements. It's just like bowel movements. It's just like shit. Like you have to just let nature take its course. I mean, Tay, if you want to be the laxative. But I'm telling you, I'm drinking enough water. I'm going on enough digestive walks. By the end of this day, shit gonna get in that toilet. It will
Mm,
get. And
what
I
an
mean, it's just.
analogy.
I mean, I'm just. It is though. I'm just
Yeah.
saying. I mean, the waste gonna come out eventually. The waste will come out.
I feel like,
Now, if you're constipated, then I mean, that's another situation.
but that's a different. That means there's another issue.
And that's when you need the laxative. That's when you need Tay to ask, yo,
But
I
that's what
noticed
I'm
y'all.
saying. But y'all be blowing up. Like, I feel
But
like
Tay,
men
here's
tend
the thing.
to hold things in, like, yeah, it doesn't matter, whatever. And then 2 weeks later, some buildup, and then y'all just like explode.
But
Like, you know what? 2 weeks ago, you did this, and 3 days ago, you did this. when you could have
Yeah.
just got it off your chest that instant. Like, you know what I'm
But
saying?
see,
You play ball and it doesn't matter anymore, but deep down, it's still an issue.
But
You know what I'm
that
saying?
that depends on the type of waste that's being consumed, because laxatives can cause a natural movement, but a certain amount of laxatives can also cause diarrhea.
Mm.
Certain foods can. If I eat Five Guys, man, I'm blowing it up. But you know what I'm saying? I eat a beef taco from La Taqueria del Sol. It's calm. It
It's
goes out
good.
the natural way. I'm done using those analogies. But the point is, though, I do think it's certain things that'll flip you off. Though certain things are triggering. That's gonna flip you off.
I
That's
also personally, I think that it appears to me as a man looking at women that they approach everything as if it could go right. And the way life is everything doesn't go right. Sometimes
Mm.
it goes wrong. And sometimes that's just what it is. This is the portion of my life where things aren't going right. But
Mm.
I'm gonna figure it out. I'm gonna make it past it, just like I made it past the other dozen things that didn't go right. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
And I feel like that's women don't always, they feel like, no, this will be exactly how I want it to be. And then
Uh,
that's how it appears to me. And for men, it's like, you know what? That one didn't work out the way I wanted to. That's okay.
yeah.
On to the next.
in terms of opening up and being emotionally available to your partner, um, it's okay to also acknowledge that you just may not be emotionally available at all. Like, despite talking to someone, because it should be easy. It like we make it harder than it needs to be. You know, if you're talking to someone and they want to talk to you about your feelings, you should be open and honest. Like, hey, I had a rough day, or I'm just not in the space of life where I feel like communicating or just sharing my feelings. Easy peasy.
Mm.
But if you feel like you're just neglecting that feeling, then obviously, like, you're just not ready. But if you want to be more emotionally available, you just got to be real with yourself and your partner. Like, you know, I feel like we make things harder than they need to be. And I think you should just open up, be real with that person. And
Mm.
I hope you guys move on and you guys are happy. So, yeah.
Mm.
Definitely.
Mhm.
I would also say, lastly, this just came to my head. I think that you gotta appreciate someone the way they want to be appreciated. Just because you like to be appreciated a certain way doesn't mean that's the way everybody likes to be appreciated. And so
Mhm.
I consider, okay, if I appreciate them the way they want to appreciate it, they want to be appreciated, then they'll appreciate me the way I want to be appreciated.
Mhm.
Right, right.
Your way of being appreciated isn't the only way in the world. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. We've got 5 minutes and I just got a notification. Um, huh? What's your thoughts on, I don't know, what's your thoughts on Quiet on Set? Is that a show? A movie?
Oh, that's the documentary about the kids' TV shows, bro.
Oh, yes. I did not watch
Oh
that.
my goodness,
That's a
man.
killer
I
name.
haven't
That's a killer
watched it.
title.
They say it's crazy.
Do
Is
y'all
that
want to
the
watch it? And
Dan Schneider?
yeah,
Well, that one I thought that one was on Hulu.
Oh, I don't know. I
This
didn't
one,
watch it.
but I hear it's crazy stuff. Like we always assume that the little niggas was on crack or doing hard drugs, but I don't know why we never thought about the fact that they could be experiencing like traumatic experience to the extent of sexual abuse and things of that nature. Like, I mean, it makes sense because we're older, but it's just like wow, like we was really watching these kids. They were making us laugh. Little did we know behind the scenes, like these kids were experiencing some crazy, crazy stuff.
I mean, I can imagine. Like, you're on set for the whole summer or 6 months. Like, our parents aren't here. That shit is crazy, actually.
yeah.
That's insane. There's no way I'm letting my child into Hollywood without at the very least being able to be on set with them 24/7. Not even on no bugging way, but just so I can have an eye. Because there's no way. That's just insane.
And even in casting, like I saw one clip, they were talking about Zoe 101, and one of the cast members was like 21, and then one of the girls was like 15, and the script like made them kiss. You know what I'm saying?
Mercy. Mm.
It's outrageous. And then you're making millions of dollars off of this production. Yeah. I don't think I would do that. If anything, nah, I wouldn't. I was gonna say, like, if my kid was really cute, make them a model for like Ralph Lauren or something. But
That ain't any
nah.
better. The model industry safe. I like.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I think people are so afraid of being exposed these days that they're not gonna try
Get active.
because you can
Praise God
record
for
on
that.
anything. You never know. But yeah.
Well, guys,
Mhm.
we are at the end of another background noise episode. If you just pulling into the driveway, if your workout's just finishing, if you just got done watching us on YouTube, got done doing your chores, whatever it is, thank you so much for listening. We love you to death, and we'll see you next week. Peace.
Yeah.